You know someone who has a retirement account, checks it obsessively, and still loses sleep convinced it won't be enough. Maybe that someone is you. You're not broke. You're not irresponsible. You might be doing everything right, contributing to your 401k, avoiding debt, running the numbers over and over, and yet there's this quiet dread that never goes away, this feeling that the floor could drop out at any moment. Your anxiety isn't a bug. It's a receipt, proof that you were paying attention when everyone else was looking away. Because there's a specific type of person who carries retirement anxiety. Not the reckless spender, not the person who never saved a dollar. It's the person who watched the system work perfectly for their parents, and then watched it stop working, right when it was supposed to work for them. This is the psychology of retirement anxiety. And by the end of this, you won't just understand it. You'll finally have the words for something you've been feeling for decades. Picture this. It's 1985. You're a kid watching your dad leave for the same job he's had for 20 years. Pension, benefits, the whole package. He's going to retire at 65, collect his check, and everything will be fine. That's the deal. Work hard, stay loyal, get taken care of. Simple. Then the early 90s arrive. You're watching that same company hand people cardboard boxes. People who gave 30 years of loyalty, gone in an afternoon. No warning, no real explanation, just a letter and a handshake. And then 2008 happens. You've done everything right. You've saved. You've invested. And you watch your 401k cut in half in what feels like a weekend. The house you bought, underwater. The job you thought was secure, suddenly not so secure. That's not pessimism that created your retirement anxiety. That's pattern recognition. You saw the same movie play out twice and you swore you'd never get caught unprepared again. Here's something that surprises people who haven't lived it. A huge portion of people with retirement anxiety don't just fear they won't save enough. They've already written off an entire income stream their parents counted on completely. They assume Social Security won't exist for them, and they built their entire financial strategy around its absence. Most people hear that and think, that's paranoid. But is it? These are people who watched politicians debate raiding the Social Security fund in the 80s. They weren't reading conspiracy theories. They were watching the news. So when they sit down to plan retirement, they do something their parents never had to do. They plan as if they're completely alone. No safety net, no backup system, just whatever they can build themselves. That's not paranoia. That's what happens when you watch institutions make promises and then quietly renegotiate the terms. The people who just trust it'll work out aren't more optimistic. They're just less informed. Now here's where it gets interesting. Because retirement anxiety doesn't produce just one kind of person. It produces two. And they look completely different from the outside. Type 1 is the hyper-vigilant saver. They max out their 401k. They have a spreadsheet with 17 tabs. They've run every what-if scenario their financial app allows. They manage their own portfolio because they don't fully trust anyone else with it, and they still feel behind. The anxiety doesn't disappear when the account grows. It just finds a new number to be scared of. Type 2 is the person who got hit too early and too hard to ever fully recover. They came out of school into a recession. The credit system handed them debt before they had any real financial foundation. Then the layoffs came. Then the market crashed. And by the time they had breathing room, the math just didn't work anymore. They're not reckless. They're not irresponsible. They just never got the foothold. And now they've quietly accepted something painful, that retirement might not be something that happens to them. Here's the thing, though. Both of these people started in the same place. The same broken promise. The same system that changed the rules mid-game. Type 1 responded by gripping tighter. Type 2 got knocked down before they could grip anything at all. Neither response is wrong. They're just two different outcomes from the same original wound. There's a specific reason people with retirement anxiety tend to manage everything themselves. And it's not arrogance. It's not stubbornness. They watched what happened when people trusted experts. Their parents trusted pension fund managers, trusted financial advisors, trusted companies that promised defined benefit plans. And they watched those promises evaporate in the hands of people who were supposed to be professionals. So they learned to do it themselves. Research everything. Verify twice. Run their own numbers. Pick their own funds. Not because they think they're smarter than everyone, But because when it goes wrong, they'd rather it be their own mistake than someone else's. There's something quietly admirable about this. In a world full of people outsourcing every decision, these are people who refused to outsource the most important one. But it comes at a cost, because doing everything yourself also means carrying everything yourself. The weight never gets shared. And there's a particular loneliness in being the most financially aware person in your circle. You can see risks others can't or won't. You watch friends finance cars they can't really afford, take on debt for vacations, assume everything will work out. And you say nothing, because you've tried before, and nobody wants a retirement conversation at the dinner table. So you carry the awareness alone and wonder sometimes if the people who aren't thinking about this are actually the lucky ones. Let's be honest about what this anxiety actually does to you day to day. It makes you feel guilty for spending money on yourself. Even when you can afford it, even when you've earned it, there's always a voice asking, should I really be spending this? It exhausts you. Because you're not just managing today's finances. You're managing every possible version of the future simultaneously. What if the market crashes again? What if I get sick? What if it's still not enough? And it isolates you because most people around you don't seem to think about this the way you do. You wonder sometimes if you're overreacting. If you're the crazy one, you're not overreacting, you're just someone who never forgot what you saw. There's also a cruel irony buried inside all of this. The very habits keeping you financially responsible, the vigilance, the obsessive planning, the refusal to relax, are the exact same habits that make it difficult to enjoy the life you're already living. You're so focused on protecting the future that the present keeps slipping past. You save for a retirement you're not sure you'll ever feel secure enough to enjoy. That's perhaps the heaviest cost of all. Not what retirement anxiety does to your bank account, but what it quietly does to your ability to be here, right now. Here's what I want to leave you with. Your retirement anxiety is not a character flaw. It's not proof that you're broken or too negative. It's scar tissue. And scar tissue means you healed. You just healed from something real. The system handed your parents a promise, handed you the same brochure, and then quietly changed the terms. And you noticed. And instead of pretending it wasn't happening, you adapted. If you're still saving despite believing the floor might drop, that's not anxiety, that's defiance. If you're running your own numbers, managing your own portfolio, building your own backup plans, you're not paranoid. You're the person who understood, maybe earlier than most, that the only retirement you can truly count on is the one you build yourself. Drop a comment. Are you type 1, type 2, or somewhere in between? And if someone in your life has never understood why you think about retirement the way you do, send them this, because now they will.